Hello there. Welcome into Syntax Bytes, episode number 4. Today we are going to be doing some CSS battles, and then we'll work on the Tauri app that we've been working on, which is the Syntax Production Assistant. And after that, we'll also work on syntax.fm. So I've got a couple of issues pulled up for both the Production Assistant and the website, and so we'll work on those when we get there. But before that, we're going to play CSS battles. So if you haven't heard of CSS battles, you can go to cssbattle.dev. They have various battles that you can try and do, where essentially you're given some image and you need to recreate that using only CSS and HTML. Today we're going to be doing battle number 122, and then after that we'll be doing battle number 121, where we're creating like this little 8-bit level is what it looks like. But that's the plan for today. Let me welcome everybody in, and then we'll get started. Thank you, Randy. I did my best. I have some OBS plugins for transitions and stuff like that. But welcome in. Good to see you all. Yeah, Scott's here. Scott's actually working on, one of the things we'll probably do before we work on Production Assistant is review Scott's pull requests. So Scott is updating dependencies in the repo, and then also cleaning up some of the CSS styles. So before we actually work, we'll do a code review. So we'll definitely do that. But yeah, thanks for being here, Scott and Randy and Ryan and Chris Ball. Good to see you. And over on the Twitch side, who do we got? One Computer Guy. Thank you for that follow. What's up, Fob and Stony and Acid Spark? Welcome in, everyone. Good to see you. Let's get into it. Let's write some CSS. This is the show where we write code. But Scott is saying, still working on the CSS one, got distracted by the idea of making a game with PartyKit. Ooh, that sounds fun. And what's up, Zerux? Good to see you. William Cameron, hello. What's up, Lance? And Vivian, good to see you as well. It could be fun to make some sort of game for people in the chat to play while we're streaming. Because if you watch over on the Coding Garden, we have the drop game where people can drop emojis and emotes and it just like randomly falls, but it can potentially land in the garden, which was inspired by Instafluff. He has like a drop game, but it'd be cool to come up with a game that we could have for everyone to play while we're streaming. What's up, Miguel? Welcome in as well. And good to see you, Oscar. Hello. Scott needs to show Twitch some love too. It's hard to balance two different chats. It really is. Oh, nice. Fob is working on a picture app for school. Very cool. All right, let's do it. We're going to do CSS battle number 122. If you'd like to play along at home, feel free to go here and give it a try. I'm going to do my best. And after I'm done, if you want to share your solution, you can put it like in a GitHub gist or something like that, and I'll take a look. But let's dive right in. So here on CSS Battle, they give you all of the colors that you need. So this is the blue color that we need. And I'm going to set this as the background color for the body. So I'm just going to grab the body, background. Okay, we are on our way. Now, when I look at this, I see a CSS grid. There are some CSS aficionados out there that are going to see something else like, oh, I could do it this way, I could do it that way. To me, the easiest thing to do here is to set this up as a CSS grid and then color each grid a specific color. Also, we'll set up some automatic gap. That's what I'm going to do. It's gonna require a lot of divs, but to me, that's the simplest solution. So that's what I'm going to go for. So here's a game idea, a mini syntax skateboard that moves on the screen by check. That could be fun. If you do like exclamation mark kickflip, it like rolls across the bottom of the screen. That could be cool. Scott gave me a whole bunch of syntax skateboards. Actually, I think we'll run a giveaway later on. So stick around. After the CSS battles, we'll give away one of these. Anybody that's here, I'll ship it anywhere in the world. But yeah, that could be really cool. Like skateboard flies across the screen. What's up, Hassan? Welcome in. Oh, it's an imager clone. Nice. Oscar says we're halfway there. You know, we really are. Setting the background color, and we're halfway there. Okay. Now, I'm actually not going to have a direct div style. I think I'm just going to have various classes for all the background colors, and then we're going to create a bunch of divs that are all of the squares. And we'll also make the body a CSS grid. Okay, but yeah, let's do this. Let's say that the body is display grid. So that's going to make this entire container a grid. And then if we look at number of rows and number of columns, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. So 6 rows, 8 columns. So we can do grid, template, rows. And then we want to repeat. I always forget, is it this and then this? Let's see. Let's say that anything inside of the body has a background of red. So that should style any of the divs inside the body. And we'll also give this a gap of 10 pixels. Okay, so nothing's showing up. I'm guessing we need to do like this. 6, 1 fraction. Maybe we need to add the columns as well. Grid, template, columns. I think I said there were 8 columns. We want to repeat 8 times 1 fraction. And I guess let's just style that div directly and give it a background of red. Right? Because all of these divs should appear inside the grid. Nothing is happening. Let's open up the DevTools and let's actually see what's happening here. Do we have ourselves a CSS grid? Okay, so here's our div. It's inside of an iframe. It's going to be hard to actually inspect this element. Oh, what happened? I kind of messed up. Okay, I'm getting some help from the chat though. So Shark Turnup says it's repeat the number of things you want and then the unit. So I got that right after I swapped it up. So the number of things and then how many we want. I guess, I need to give it a height because by default, the height only takes up the content. So if I do 100 view height, there we go. Yes. Yeah, it needs a height. And Malin and YouTube, they got it too. Because without a height, the grid doesn't have anything to fill in. Okay, so we're on the way. Look at that. So every single div is red. I'm curious if our gap is correct. No, our gap is not correct. Our gap is too big. So let's do like a 5 pixel gap. It has margin though. So I need to make sure that the body has no margin. So that way it's all top left. Yeah, okay. I think I need my gap to be a little bit more, like 7 pixels. Yeah, I think we're on our way. Beautiful. Okay. Now I just need a metric boatload of divs. So this is the plan. We're just going to have divs on divs on divs on divs on divs. And then how many more do we need? I think we need 6 more. Start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Need 6 more. Okay. So I have myself a grid with a bunch of squares inside of it. And now I need to color them. So I think by default, we'll just set it to the background color. Actually, I'm going to leave it like a red for now, just so I know what's been styled and what hasn't. But then afterwards, we can just remove the default background color. So now what I want to do is I want to create a CSS class for all of the other colors. So I want a yellow, a red, a blue, and a purple. So that way I can apply it to the specific divs. Okay. So yeah, we'll create a class called yellow. The background is going to be this color here. And then we'll create a class called red, and the background, it's going to be this color here. And then we'll create a class called teal. I'll call it blue. So blue, and the background is this color here. And then we also need purple. And the background is this one here. Okay. I'm going to get rid of all these comments at the bottom here too. All right, so now that I have all these classes, I need to apply them to the individual elements. So let's do that. Let me catch up on chat. And then basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, and each one that needs to be a different color, I'm going to give it this class, and we're done. I hope somebody has a better solution than this, because this is very manual, right? I literally have to have a div for every single square here, but it works for me. This is my CSS process. William Cameron says ship anywhere. I mean, I was going to cover the cost, but I guess I could probably expense it. Sentry would cover it for me to ship it anywhere. Yeah. And Scott's going to win the skateboard deck, but he already has an entire box of them at home. Expense? Yeah, I'll expense it. Yeah, it's a cyan, it's a teal. But yeah, the weird numbers, it's not always that way, but here we're talking about the gap. So right now the gap is 7 pixels. It's like an awkward number, but that seems to be what it is. It might also be a percentage of the overall width, but I don't want to calculate it. I believe it's a 6x8 grid, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're right. No, but then there's 8 across. Yeah, there's 8 across. Yeah, I think we got that. An Oscar's solution would be to just create an image that looks like this and then set the background URL. That's kind of an amazing way to do it. And thank you, Rollers. Thank you for that follow. And also Waynes.dev. Thank you for the follows. I think they detect against that. Like if you literally screen cap this image on the right and just set the background URL, I think they protect against that. Okay, now we manually go through and set all of the colors. I think I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So this far right one stays, and then this next one is purple. There we go. On our way. And then this next one is going to be blue, because we're actually going across the bottom here. Okay. And then we'll do that again. So it's cyan, it's teal. It's in the family of blue. So we have 3 blue. Oh, I missed one. There needs to be a blue here. And then a empty div there. I missed one. Okay. And then this last one here is yellow. All right. We've got the bottom row. Now you just got to sit here and watch me do this. I mean, I guess technically if I made it centered and then didn't have a row for the right and the left and the right, that might be easier. It's fine. Everything's fine. We are now on the next row. So this is the empty one on the far left. This is the empty one on the far right. And then now we're on the next row here. And this needs to be purple. Good. And then we got this one here. And Stony says, we know what we signed up for. Yeah, CJ, the manual coder. I just type everything out. Okay. Purple, and then blue. And then red. Cool. Look at this. The bottom looks basically perfect. So, I mean, Hassan has a good question, which is, can you make one instance instead of 3 blue? I think that's another way to approach this, right? So, like, basically consider each Tetris shape its own div, and then style it specifically. To me, that seems harder though, because how do you get such a consistent gap between everything? I guess you'd have to work, like you'd have to have margin. It would be tricky. Yeah. Oh, you could do column span 3. But then it wouldn't have a gap though. The main issue is I need a gap. Because if you do column span, then that div would take up 3 columns, but there wouldn't be a gap in between each column. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. So this will be the far left green. This is the far right green. And then this one needs to be purple. That is wrong. There's 2 blank ones and then a purple. Yeah. And then another blank one and then a red. Okay. And then 2 yellows. Great. And then that's the far left one. And then we actually need 3 blank ones followed by a red one. And then another blank one and then 2 yellow ones. All right. Yeah, nth child, I guess, could work. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess I've picked this day as my live streaming day, but Learn with Jason is awesome. You should go watch. He's probably doing something way cooler than picking divs and putting class names on them. So go watch Jason for sure. I guess nth child could work. We'd have to know what each child is, and then we could specify their color directly in CSS instead of putting the class names on it. That could work. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of gaming, I'm building a classic game of Puerto Rico, but in an app. Ah, cool. This is how V1 of GitHub contributions graph worked. just keep typing out classes. Yeah, it's like color. It's color by number with CJ. Exactly. Okay, so we've got those 2. We're on our way to the next one. So far left, blank. And then we're going to need 2 blank ones on the right. And then this should be a red one. Yep. And then the next one is a red one. Yep. And then the rest of the row is empty. Oh, we're almost done. We literally only need to do the 6th one as red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is red. And we're done. All right, now all I have to do is get rid of this default background color. And we're in. That's it. That's it. That's all. It's perfect. And thank you, Mr. Barboza. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate you. Clear, 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 yellow, clear. Huh. I do want to see if anybody else out there gave it a try or is solving it in a different way. Let me know. I want to see your solution. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the next one. But if you get a solution for this, let me know in the chat, and we'll do it. Yeah, we have happy little CSS accidents, right? Okay. So Roga has an nth child solution. Wow. Wait, what is this colors 0, colors 1? I've never seen that variable syntax for CSS. Can you specify like an array of variables? Because what I see Roga doing is you have var, you specify the variable, and then they're specifying 0, and then 1, and then 2. The second arg is the default. Oh, it's a fallback. Okay, that's what Stony is saying, that it's a fallback. Okay. Not perfect. My boxes are smaller or larger. Let's see. Is that true? Oh, you're totally right. You're totally right. Like, okay. Yeah, look at that. I think I need to Increase or I need to decrease my gap. What if my gap goes to 6 pixels? That is better. Yeah, the gap is 6 pixels, not 7 pixels. Thank you for calling that out. Was it Fob? Yeah, you're completely right. Asset Spark says my solution would be appropriate. I generate the grid in JavaScript. Yeah, if we didn't have to use manual HTML and CSS, I'd use JavaScript too. Okay. All right, let's submit it. So James Warner, thank you for that raid. Welcome in, raiders. Yo. Welcome to Syntax. Welcome to Syntax Bytes. We're just doing some CSS battles right now. But yeah, thank you for the raid. Appreciate you. Thank you for the follow. Let's shout out James Warner. Yeah, thanks. What were you working on over there? Welcome in, raiders. Good to see you. Okay, so Scott has an interesting solution. So if you're just joining us from the raid, basically we recreated this using only CSS and HTML. And my simple idea was to say, let's do this as a CSS grid and then color each individual cell the specific color that it needs to be. And we got it. But it's a whole lot of divs, right? So every single div, I just specify what color it needs to be. So we're trying to think of what are some other ways we could do this. And so Scott says an off-the-wall solution would be do this with 6 divs, 1 for each row, then make the color boxes with CSS gradients. Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically you could have a CSS gradient that's blue, and then red from here to here, and then blue from here to here, and then red from here to here, and then blue from here to here. Yeah, each one of these could be a CSS gradient. That feels like more code, but it is a way to do it. Yeah, it would not be fun or flexible. A 6x6 grid that is centered. Oh, yeah. I guess you're completely... I thought about this too. So, because I ended up doing a 6x8 grid, so that way I have the edges. But if you do a 6x6 grid centered, I wasn't sure if the gap would be appropriate. Like if the gap would put it in the right spot, which is why I did a 6x8 grid. So top of the compare window, select diff when it's close or hard to see. Diff. Oh, okay. My solution isn't perfect. Look at this. And it's probably because it's a 6x6 grid. Thank you for letting... I didn't know that this was I didn't know this was the thing. So you can see that my boxes are like slightly bigger than they need to be. Huh. I'm curious if we do like a 6.5? 7? 5.5? $5.8? All right, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Like we might need to create a 6x6 grid that is centered. That will probably give us the right alignment then. That's what I was worried about initially, but apparently it's not perfect. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, so what was James working on? A little open source Spotify utility. Just launched a new feature that updates the CSV with your listening history, as someone requested on GitHub. Oh, nice. Feel free to link the GitHub repo. That's pretty cool. And what's up, Ames Backett? Good to see you. You can do this. You did that last time with gradients. Yeah, I could do it as gradients, but like Scott said, it would not be flexible at all because it would be like very rigid. Scale half a pixel for each div. Don't use gap, use margin. Well, the gap is what gives us the gap in between each of these squares. I guess if I set a margin for the cells, it's got to be gap. It's got to be gap. So here's my hunch. We need a 6x6 grid. And then we just center it. And I think that should work better. So that's the route that I'm going to go down. Sweet. And I missed you too, Ames Bucket. Thank you for being here. Spot a local. This is cool. This is kind of like so audio scrobbling, which is where you keep track of all the songs you've listened to. This is cool. It's not like a third-party service. It just writes it to a file. Oh, no, this would be used for streaming. So like if you're listening to music while you're streaming, it can write it to a file and then like OBS could read it in to say what your current song is. nice. Heck yeah, that's awesome. Okay, here we go. I honestly thought this was going to be so easy, but it's not. So I'm going to do a grid template columns of 6 columns instead. Oof. But then we also have to set the width. I guess I don't understand why it's off by so little. Do the individual divs need margin? Is that what we were saying? So if I give a div a margin of 1 pixel, these look very uniform is the thing. They're just like slightly bigger. Margin of a -1 pixel, -2, -3. It's not quite there. Oh man. Has a few different uses, keeping it simple with local files. No API keys, third-party account servers. Yeah, that's awesome. Here's what I'm going to do. It could be close enough that we get 100% because it uses like an image diffing algorithm, and we're probably like 99% of the way there. I am just going to submit this and see what happens. %99.6% match. Is that good? Is that good? I think I want to call this good enough. I do not want to spend time just like slightly moving these around to get rid of those borders. I don't know. I'm going to set a 2-minute timer. If anyone in the chat can think of a way to fix the weirdness, we'll do it. Fix it easily, we'll do it. Otherwise, I'm moving on to the next one because I don't have all day. Why not give the columns and rows explicit pixel size instead of fractional? Oh, okay. This is a good strat. I like that. I'm streaming in the wrong chat. I'm streaming on Syntax. What do you mean? If this was a spec from Designer at Work, I'd call it. Yeah, me too. So the thing is, there are a lot of people that call themselves like pixel perfect devs, and that's awesome. I'm definitely not one of them. I get it good enough, and that's usually enough, margin right, 1 pixel on the body. Okay, I like Scott's idea of giving specific pixel sizes. Well, honestly, scaling the divs could work too. Let's just try scaling the divs. If we take each div and then do a transform scale of 0.95. 0.9? 0.99. 98? 97. 95? They're still like slightly too big. There's a scale property? Since when? Is it supported in Firefox? Baseline 2022. How did I not know about this? But thank you, Scott. Thank you for the scale property. Also, how did you hire me if I don't know all this stuff about CSS? I guess I know a lot of other things, but cool. That's fantastic. I did not know that we didn't have to use transform anymore. All right. Scale 0.95. And Scott is saying it's only better because you can animate them independently. Oh, like you can animate scales separate from the rest of your transforms. That's awesome. I like that. My money's on the goal being rendered in a different engine. Like, yeah, their backend service that checks to see how close we are is like slightly different. Keep seeing that scale property, and I'm still shocked it exists. Yeah, try 1.05. So we should scale up. All right. If we do an 8 pixel gap and then a scale of 1.099, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. there's no way. I think we're like super close with 0.4. Okay, let's do 0.5 and then like an 8, a 7.9, 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, 7, 6.8, 9. Yeah. 3 hours later. I think I'm done here. And Tough Crunch says, thank you for the self-host playlist. I just got into self-hosting. It has been such a lovely late nights week. Nice. Glad to hear it. Yeah. All right, let's just see. So we want to beat 99.6. Let's see if we can beat 99.6. Ooh, it's worse. It's worse. All right, I'm going to put it back and I'm going to move on. But if anyone can come up with a better solution that gets better, that's better than 99.6, and maybe a different approach, like maybe you're not using CSS Grid, I'd love to look at it. So give this one a try. I'm going to work on the next one, but if you do want to give this one a try, here it is. I'll come look at your solution after that. Have I tried to pick? Oh, no, I didn't try that, but I kind of want to move on. But yeah, that could work. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How big are these? Are they 50 pixels? 40 pixels? 45 pixels? Yeah, they're 45 pixels. Yeah, it's just like slightly there, but let's see if this gets us any closer. That's worse. Okay, that's worse. All right, I have to end it here. I can't stay on this forever. Scott's solution with explicit sizes. Maybe I have to find a different explicit size. I guess, okay, yeah. Well, here's the thing. If we do like 46 with a smaller gap, maybe that's the way to go, right? Do we for sure know that it's like a 7 pixel gap? Or a 6 pixel gap? I gotta move on. Gotta move on. Yeah, and thank you, Tuto and Ames Bucket. Thank you for those follows. All right. I did all right. 99.6. That's fine. This one, it's going to be interesting. This one, it's almost like we're recreating like a level from a video game, like pixel art video game, where you have like the grass, the ground, the tree, the shrub. This one will be interesting. So this is battle number 121. I'm going to take a quick sip of water, and then we're going to get into it. I think this one's going to be easier. We can use fixed position. We can just have divs that are of specific height and width. Oh, is it from Duck Hunt? That's what Shark Turn Up is saying. Let's see. Duck Hunt. Nintendo. It's very similar. Yeah, you have the tree and then the bush. Yeah, sweet. Okay. Yeah, this is we're basically recreating the Duck Hunt level. Okay, let's do it. I'm going to set the background of the body to be this blue color. And I'm going to remove the margin back. And then I'm going to remove the margin from the body. Actually, I'm going to remove the margin from everything. This is like a very simple reset. So select everything, margin 0. And then also box sizing, border box. Honestly, would this fix our previous solution? No, it won't. Okay. We have a blue background. I guess I probably should use a CSS gradient for the background because I did learn about CSS gradients last time. Let me try to do a CSS gradient. So I think I want a linear gradient that is at this color. Well, I need to look up the syntax. I still don't remember it. But we can have a linear gradient with 3 different colors in it. So you do color, and then like start, or color and then end location, something like this. So it's going to be this 0%. And then let's call it like 60% is going to be the green color. So the green color starts at 60%. No commas in between the number and so color, start, color, start. Or color width. I don't know why this isn't sticking with me. Is it start or is it width? It's start, right? I think I can include 2 numbers. So 0%, 60%. So start and stop, and then start and stop. Okay, the first one should just be 60%. Oh, this happens every time. To even see this, I have to set a height on the body. I always forget this. There's no automatic height here. It has to be 100 view height. I'm like freaking out why it's not working. Okay, this is great. There we go. And it does look like it's 60%. Ooh, there's like a tiny little line. 61%? 60.25%? We're gonna go with 60%. I think that tiny little line in the diff is okay. Like there's that like tiny little line there. Okay, so we've got the green, and then lastly we need this ground color. And I'm guessing it's probably 10% from there. So this goes from 60 to 70%. And then we have this one, which goes from 70% to 100%. Not quite. 75? 80. 76. 77. It's not quite 75. 74? 73? 73.5. 73.25. Okay. Beautiful. There are like the diff does show like tiny little differences. I think it's perfectly fine. Okay. Now we need ourselves a little tree. So I want to create a brown rectangle, and then try to position it in the right spot. So let's create a little tree class. It's going to have a background color of this brown color here, like that. And then for now, we'll just give it a height of 200 pixels and a width of 50 pixels, which makes me think, should we use specific pixel values here instead of percentages? That might get us closer. But let me see if there's anything happening in the chat. Duck Hunt Dog is my favorite Smash Brothers character. I didn't know you could play as him in Smash Bros. That's crazy. Yeah, so we're doing a 3-color gradient for the background. We figured it out. It is true. If we only set a blue background, we've got like a 50% match already. Color, position along defined axis. Yeah, I think we got it. Yeah, happy little tree class. And Lady Lyra, thank you for that follow. It's a happy little tree. Okay. So we have this tree class. Let's give this div a class of tree. Okay. It's definitely going to be smaller and way less tall. That's it-ish. And then let's try to position it in the right spot. I think I just need to do position absolute and or position fixed and put it exactly where it needs to go. So if we say position fixed, I can say left 20 pixels, and that moves it over like that. And then I can say top 100 pixels, and that moves it down like that. Okay. So we need to go down a little further. Great. And then we probably need to go over a little bit like that. We need to go over even more. It's perfect. It's perfect. We got ourselves a tree trunk. Now we need to create some little green circles. What I see here is like 1, 2, 3, 4 green circles all on top of each other. There's probably another way to do this. Oh, James Warner got the grid one. Nice. If you want to share your code, feel free to, I don't know if they let you link your solution on here, but if you throw your code in a CSS or a GitHub gist, I'd love to take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could use like a custom path with the background color. I'm just thinking of absolutely positioned circles. Yeah. What's up, smiley face? Welcome in. Welcome in. You'd have a single circle with 3 box shadows for the treetop. Oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know how. Let's take a quick pause to see how James Warner did this one. So this is the grid one. Okay, so they've got a bunch of spans. Then they used nth child. Yeah, so somebody mentioned we should do this, but it was, to me, it seemed like more work because I'd have to count and figure out which childs they were. But I like this. Honestly, this is potentially, I mean, it's probably about the same amount of code because what I did is I went to each individual element and specified the background color. But in this case, you're saying, grab these elements, their background color should be this. Grab these elements, their background color should be this. I like it. Yeah, I like it. Great work. You could probably do that last square one with a ton of box shadows. Is today the day where I learn how to do box shadows? Because I don't feel like it. But let's look up box shadow. See, I can't even imagine how you would do like a curved box shadow. Huh. Can someone provide some kind of example that gets me there? Because in my mind, I see this. I can't imagine any kind of box shadow. Like, I guess like what you were saying is have a, but if you have a circle, you can set its box shadow to be completely offset. And then that's like taking this circle and putting it here. Is that what we're saying? Yeah, okay, I think, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, so because the box shadow is a repetition of the shape itself. In the case most of us are familiar with, a box shadow is like on a rectangle or like a card. But if you make it a circle, the box shadow is just the same thing, and so then you offset it. But can we have multiple? Can we have like a left shadow and a right shadow? Or do we just need to have multiple on top of each other? You can have infinite? We should go down this route because I am extremely unfamiliar with box shadows. And so we'll learn what all these numbers mean. So you can create a ton. Can you basically do like a comma and create separate ones? I guess that's what this is doing here. Yeah. So you just do a comma. So they set a red box shadow, comma, the next box shadow. And basically all we need to do is one box shadow for the left, the right, and then the bottom. And that basically we have a circle that we can repeat 3 more times using box shadow. This is it. This is the day where we learn box shadows. Oh no, now I want to do a box shadow. They're similar to gradients. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's get ourselves a treetop. And this is going to have a background that is green color. Yeah, Scott is saying, now I wonder if there's a limit on how many you can do. I mean, I would imagine 4, 1 for each side, but any number of shadows. It says any. I think they mean infinite. It's got to say you do way more than 4. Yeah. Before the browser crashes. Honestly, if you could crash the browser with a ton of box shadows, that's crazy. That'd be funny, but it's crazy that it's even possible. Okay. All right, we have the green background color. I'm going to give this a fixed width of, let's just call it 20 pixels for now, and a height of 20 pixels, and a border radius of 50%. So this should give us a nice green circle. Now we're going to add the treetop right above the tree. We're actually going to add it below the tree because we want to draw this treetop on top of the trunk. And right now you can see that my trunk is like a little bit too high, but that's fine because we're going to draw the treetop on top of it. So if we put the treetop below, it'll be rendered on top of it. Okay, so there's our little treetop. I think it needs to be bigger, probably like 30 pixels. Bigger, 50 pixels. Smaller, 40 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to fix position it to put the circle right here. And then we'll make these other 3 with box shadow. So let's do this. Okay. For left, we'll do 40 pixels. That looks great. Let's go 90, 80, 70, 60. All right, let's look at the diff. Spot on. Look at that. So that little buddy is in the exact spot. He's the right size. Now let's do a border shadow to create the left circle. Here we go. Here we go. It has, you can have, I gotta figure out what these numbers mean. Where's the docs? Length, color. What about the offset? Okay. Specifies the offset length of the shadow. This parameter accepts 2, 3, or 4 values. The 3rd and 4th values are optional. They are interpreted as follows. If 2 values are specified, they're interpreted as offset X and offset Y. A negative offset X places the shadows to the left of the element. Okay, so we're going to want a negative offset X with a positive Y so that it pushes it down. Okay. That helps. So we're going to do box shadow. Well, for now, let's just do -10 pixels and then a Y of 10 pixels and then set it to this. It's happening. Look at that thing. It showed up. Actually, let's keep it a different color for now. So that way it's easy to differentiate. Yeah, heck yeah. Okay. So this value, this second value is the Y value. So this pushes it up or down. So we probably want it like right there, and then we want to go even more over to the left like that. Okay. We probably want more, we want to go down a little more. And then over a little more. That's it. We've done it. We learned box shadow. So it's actually very simple. It's X offset, Y offset, color. Simple as. And then we'll throw the color on there. And then we'll look at the diff. Okay. It's not quite big enough is the issue. Can I increase the size? Because it's smack dab in the middle of where we want it to be, but it's not. Oh, no, never mind. It's 20, -20, 20. But apparently you can use spread if we want to change the size. If anyone wants to see pro box shadow mastery, let's see. Wait, are these all done with box shadow? Wait. What am I looking at? Check the second link. This one? Hand-coded entirely in HTML and CSS. Oh, the second link in the chat. Okay. Actually, can I just look at the source like this? I can. Okay. We have all of these leaves that we're styling. Fascinating. And then, okay, the CSS is minimized. It's a bit hard to see what's going on. I guess we can see all of these are individual elements. Like, let's just look at the hair here. And then you have a strand of hair, which is a box shadow. Fascinating. And then you have another strand, which is another box shadow. Okay. Wow. Okay. I remember I did a 4K image with a box shadow for each pixel and it didn't crash. Fascinating. But yeah, and thank you, Chris. That was the way to go. We did -20, 20, and now it's in the perfect spot. Sweet. You did the grid one with shadows? Whoa! Okay, so they saw James solved this one with box shadows. This is a sight to see. Let's see what it looks like. Wow. And it's almost perfect. Holy moly. That's awesome. That's awesome, James. So you're calculating like spacing. Yeah, it's not even a grid. Oh yeah, and you're saying it's 100%. Okay, yeah, so even the little offsets are fine. Wow. So every single square is a box shadow. That's just offset in a specific way. Wow. That's beautiful. Great work. Yeah, draw something in the most annoying way that you can. And thank you, dub. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate you. Yeah, it might be because I'm running in Firefox, James. But yeah, the fact that I did the comparison and there's like extra. Okay. We're learning about box shadows. That's great. So at this point, I need another box shadow, but it's going to be in the opposite direction. Look, I can do this on the first try. First try. Watch this. We're going to just copy this. And then I know that the X offset is the other way. So we just flip these. This becomes positive. And then, yeah, that's it. That's it. Beautiful. And then the last one, I can also do first try. We don't want any X offset. We just want to push it down. But we're going to have to figure out the pixel amount. So here I can say, don't offset that. Yeah, it's perfect. Look at me. I know how to do box shadows. Yeah, I guess that's true. Impressive, but a pain to debug. I don't know how often I would reach for box shadow in like regular CSS, regular like the building out the CSS of a website. It does seem like there's very like specific use cases where it would make sense to pull out the thing. Yeah, and Scott says, "Sick, James. Great work. Good work." Now add the shrub with the same shadow. Yeah, it's simple. Simple as. Huh. Okay, let's get ourselves a little shrub. Okay. I don't care about code golfing, so I'm just going to repeat all of this CSS. And the only one we want is to just repeat the one below it. Like this. And then we'll change our offset. So the left, actually, we'll do right and then top. I'm a wizard. No, okay. I guess these shrubs are bigger, or is my oh, they're smaller. It's smaller, so probably like 30 maybe, 20, 35. Okay, that's closer. We just need to move it over a little more. It needs to be a little bit wider. I mean, is it 40? It is. Okay. But I guess I can't tell at this diff which way I need to go with it. We're too far to the right. Oh, it's perfect. We did it. We made Duck Hunt. Okay. I think in the real world, you're not going to have a lot of these fixed pixel values, but for these specific challenges, our window here is always 400 by 300. So these offsets, they can be explicit like that. So box shadow can be very handy. For example, set the color to current color, inherit it from whatever theme you have going on. Ooh, I could have done that here, right? Well, no, because it's the background color. Can I not use? Can I use current color here in box shadow? Oh, SQL Gordster has it. Don't create a new div. Use the same one, just offset that box shadow way off. Okay, that's hard mode, right? Well, I mean, it's just another box shadow. It's box shadows all the way down. So instead of having a shrub element, we add 2 more box shadows to the tree that just get offset way, way over here. We have to try it, right? We gotta flex our box shadow skills. Yeah. Okay. So if we do offset X way, 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 way over to the right, so like 200 pixels, offset Y, probably like 50 pixels, and then that. This circle is a box shadow for this shape that's way over here. Okay, we're on our way. So the X needs to go over a little more. $300 is too much. 270. Yeah, 270. And then we need to go down a little more. I feel like I've unlocked CSS. Like I can do anything now with box shadows. This is great. Okay. And then the same thing. So we want another one that will be pushed down like 290. Oh no. So same X, but push it down there. It's amazing. I've done it. It's just like magic. That's sick. Okay, so I think I should get 100% on this. Because like whenever I do the diff, you're seeing like these little artifacts, but I think technically it'll still get covered as 100%. Let's get rid of that. So your score, so the other part of these battles is technically they're code golf. Like you're trying to do it in the least amount of code. I'm not worried about that because I'm just trying to learn about box shadows. So 100%. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to take over the world with CSS. It's true, Vivian. Go back to the first challenge of grid and use box shadow. I'm not going to do that. But I could figure it out because James Warner did this with box shadows, which I think that's a bit more advanced for me. That's after I've been using box shadow for like a week probably. Yeah. Render text pixel by pixel for lorem ipsum. This is the thing with box shadows. You can literally render pixels. You can specify where you want every single pixel to go. You could do pixel art with box shadows. Is that you could do anything? You could have done it with one div and a before or after effect. Yeah, that's something that I don't have a lot of practice with either. Is you style an element and then style the before or style the after, because like this shrub could have been the after potentially, and then like it has a box shadow. Okay, this was fun. Any other solutions that anyone wants to share for the Duck Hunt game or for Tetris? I just realized I didn't even realize this going into it. We basically had a retro game theme here. We implemented Tetris and Duck Hunt with CSS. But if anyone wants to share their solution, I'll give you another minute or so to send a link in the chat. We'll take a look at it. But then after that, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hop into a code review. So Scott has added a PR that does an update of dependencies, and I think he's working on a PR right now that updates some styles and moves some things around. So we'll take a look at that as well. What's up, Paolo? Welcome in. Good to see you. All right. I'm going to take a break then. Okay. So thank you all for participating and sharing your insights. And also thanks to James for showing his solutions. Those were super cool. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. When I come back, we're going to do a PR review for the production assistant. Let me show you what that is. How do I abort? It merged and I had some changes. Okay, we'll fix this then. Are you kidding me? Is it just like extra space? I spelled merge wrong. That's okay. Cool. We're gonna start this up and we'll take a look at it. But yeah, welcome in, Yuki Duki. Good to see you. We actually just finished up our CSS challenges. If you want to take a look, they are over here. You can try them out. I did all right. I think I did all right. I learned about box shadow. Yeah. I don't know, Yuki Duki. That's just Twitch. Twitch has some automated things. It could be like you have a suspicious IP address, or maybe you've been reported in other channels. But I just met you, so I'm not going to assume anything about you. Yeah, I assume. Yeah, as long as you stay chill. Yeah, everything's good. But this is the app we're going to be working on. So if you haven't heard of it, it is the Syntax Production Assistant. Scott actually talked about it in a recent episode of Syntax. So you check out this episode, 825. This was our Hack Week project. So at Century every year, the entire company takes a break for a week and people get to work on whatever they want. We decided to work on the production assistant, which makes it easier to publish the podcast. So the idea is we can create a project here. We drop a video file that got exported from DaVinci Resolve onto it. The app then automatically converts that video file into MP3. That's the MP3 file that's going to get published out to Apple Music and Spotify and anywhere else where you get your podcasts. That's the file that we use. And the video also had embedded metadata about chapters. And so we extract all of that out and I'll give a nice markdown editor here that uses those extracted timestamps. Because these timestamps and notes also go to a lot of different places. So if you, for instance, look at the YouTube video for any podcast episode, it's going to have those chapters right there, right? And so the app provides a way to do that. You say copy notes as text. That literally just gives you unformatted markdown that we can put into the YouTube description. And then if you head over to syntax.fm, this also uses Markdown. So if you look at episode 825, it's got all of the show notes with all the links and everything else. And so this is a Markdown file. So we essentially can take this and automatically create a PR over on GitHub that when merged adds this page to the website. And then lastly, if you look anywhere where you get podcasts, if you open up the description area, that's also going to have these notes with like the timestamps and stuff like that. And so the way we handle that is our current publishing platform allows us to set it as HTML. So we can click this button, gives us the HTML. We can go set it there, and then that's what gets pushed out all over like RSS feeds and stuff like that. So this is the app we're working on. Last time I made these updates here where you could very easily add like sick pics and social links in the output. And a bug we're going to work on today is whenever you open a PR, sometimes it adjusts the title in the wrong way. Let's actually see this. Yeah, like this. For whatever reason, it got rid of the space between the word test and do. So I'm going to try to fix that today. But before I work on fixes, we're going to do a PR, or a PR review. So Scott updated dependencies. We'll take a look at that. And then he's also working on some CSS changes. If he's not done with that, in the meantime, I'll start working on the fix for the name getting concatenated. But essentially, inside of the app, whenever you're done with your notes, you click Open PR, and it automatically opens a pull request here on GitHub with the link to, with the Markdown file that has all of this stuff in here. And essentially, once this gets merged in, it gets auto-deployed to syntax.fm. And yeah, it's a nice one-click deploy. So I'm going to take a quick, let's call it 3-minute break. And then when I come back, we'll do a review and start working on that issue. Oh yeah, and our Svelte dependencies got updated by Scott. Yeah, you can check out my theme here. So this has all of my settings, my extensions, and theme and stuff like that. And then I did a video on syntax that kind of goes over all of my VS Code settings. So if you check out this video called The Best VS Code Settings, this gives a rundown of all my settings and what I use. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool app. Yeah. Spotify does have chapter timestamps. They do. Yeah. Yeah, we do front end, we do back end, we do all of the stuff. Yeah. And I need to learn GitHub and Git before I get into dev as a career. It's definitely useful. I know some developers that don't know it very well, but I would say it's good to know as well. Yeah, Svelte was mentioned. All right, I'll be back in 3 minutes, and we'll work on this codes. In the meantime, go grab a drink of water, get up, stand up out of your chair. We'll see you soon. Hello there. Welcome back. Hopefully you all took a quick break with me and or like me, and we can get back into coding. Um, so Scott says Tauri isn't showing me DOM and styles in the dev tools. Really? So we are going to be working on this app here. So this is a desktop app. It's built with Tauri, and usually you can go inspect element. It's a me problem, says Scott. But so basically, this is a native app, but it's running a web view, and inside of that web view, we have a Svelte application. So this is why we can use the element inspector here, and this is actually running a Safari web view because I'm on a Mac. But you can see here we can look at these elements, we can inspect them, etc. Apparently, Scott can't though. So, but that's okay. We have one PR that we can review. Yeah. What's the best way to learn web dev? I have a few resources for you. So the Odin project is really great, especially if you want to get out of tutorial hell, because the Odin project forces you to go read articles, to go through the process of checking your own understanding. And they have a few different curriculums. So yeah, you can definitely go through the foundations path. But for instance, if you look at this article on how does the web work, here are the objectives of the lesson. These are your objectives. And then your assignment is to go watch this video, read this article, watch this. And then specifically you have a knowledge check. So like the whole idea of not getting stuck in tutorial hell is learning how to check your own understanding. Like stop following tutorials exactly and just assuming that now you know the stuff because you follow the tutorial. You need to actually show that you can do the stuff without the tutorial. And so each lesson has a knowledge check where you should be able to answer all of these questions if you've actually done the work of reading and watching. And if you can't answer these questions, you need to go back and figure out how to answer those questions. And then beyond that, a lot of the lessons have projects that you specifically need to work on. So Odin project is really good for that. You can check out the foundations course, and then after that, dive into like the full stack JavaScript course. But I highly, highly recommend this. Yeah. The other thing, like Paolo is suggesting, is follow Syntax. So you can follow us here on Twitch. We're also over on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere you are on the internet. And you can learn from myself, but also the hosts of the podcast, Wes and Scott. And they do 3 episodes a week. I try to publish 2 videos a week over on YouTube, and it's always about web dev related stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Odin project is great. Free Code Camp is good too. But the issue with Free Code Camp in comparison to the Odin project is it kind of holds your hand, right? So if you look at the lessons that they provide, you're actually writing code inside of the web browser. So like, let's look at lesson 1 here. So it shows you what you're going to be building. It gives you a lesson on here's the thing you need to do step by step. And you're just writing all of your code inside of here, which is fine. I think it's really great for learning, especially if you're completely new to all of this stuff. But in contrast to that, the Odin project actually has you set up a Linux machine, and it has you set up an editor. So you're doing all of this stuff on your local computer, which is much closer to what you would be doing in the real world. But they both have their uses. But it depends on where you're at in your learning journey. Yeah, that's okay, Yuki Duki. I'm gonna ignore it. I could probably turn off my this. I don't know if I can. I guess I can't get rid of it. But I trust you. You've been a good viewer so far, Yuki Duki. But those are some resources for you. Let's get into it. So we are going to review this PR by Scott. So this updates everything at once. So this is updating all of our dependencies. We're moving Svelte to next because yeah, we are using Svelte version 5, which is currently, is it RC? What's the current version of Svelte 5? Did I say Next.js? Not Next. SvelteKit. SvelteKit. We're using SvelteKit. And it's using the next version of SvelteKit. Well, we are using version 5. Do they have like a v5 branch? I'm just curious how I would find this. Like, I guess if we look, yeah, okay, here it is. So they're currently in pre-release. Where does pre-release fall? Is that after alpha, after beta? Is pre-release before release candidate? I don't know. I feel like we're really close. we're really close to getting a Svelte app. And what's up, Clarkio? Good to see you. You're on the YouTube side. We're actually streaming over on Twitch too. Do you still stream on Twitch? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm also not on Twitch as often anymore. But yeah, go follow Clarkio. But yeah, good to see you. It is not open source. So one of the tasks that Scott is working on right now is just making sure that we don't have any accidentally committed secrets or anything like that. And then after that, we're going to open source it. So anybody will be able to go to this repo and see how we built it with Tauri, and potentially even make PRs if that's the kind of thing that you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Glad to hear it, Clarkio. And thank you, Lucas. Thank you for that follow. For front end, I want to learn Svelte. Looks fun and less annoying than React, but React also has a very big user base. Yeah, that's the kind of the dilemma. But I would say if you don't know the basics of front end development at all, you should definitely learn the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript before diving into like Svelte and React and stuff like that. Okay, but Scott has updated our repo to use this latest version here, and then potentially fixed any breaking changes. And then also updated all of the Tauri dependencies. So let's see, we've got 4 files changed. This is bumping all of the versions. We're using a lot of pre-release software because we're also using Tauri version 2, which isn't officially released yet. It's actually in release candidate. Yeah, we're using V2, and we're using Svelte V5, which also isn't released. We're on the bleeding edge. So those are all updated. And then what does this do, Scott? $inspect? Is that a oh, that's a Svelte thing, right? Or did that used to be a Svelte thing? Docs. Inspect. Roughly equivalent to console log, with the exception that it will rerun whenever the argument changes. Oh, that's cool. But why did you call it illegal? Illegal. Okay, regardless, I'm going to pull this down and make sure that the app still runs for me after updating all of the dependencies. So let's do that. I'm going to kill the app. And then if I do a git fetch, that should pull any remote branches that I don't have locally. And then I can check out the update deps branch. So if I do git checkout update deps, now if we do a pnpmi, that should install the latest dependencies. I guess I can update my version of pnpm too. Let's do that. Okay. Do it again. Looks good. And then I know I can do like a cargo update or a cargo run, but if I start up Tauri, part of what it allows us to do is, or what it does behind the scenes is it'll automatically update those dependencies if it sees us they've changed, I believe. Yeah, so it's going to update all of our crates. So crates are our Rust dependencies. So we have some native code written in Rust, and that has a whole other set of dependencies that it needs. Oh, I see. Scott is saying they were using inspect outside of a component, which is illegal, and that broke the build. Okay. Yeah. And Yuki is saying it's a lot of updates for one PR. It is, but it needs to happen. And The thing is, there were no code changes, so I'm guessing Scott kind of went through and made sure everything's still at least, yeah, I mean, the app at least starts up. We probably, like, we don't have any tests written, but we probably want to go through and just do like a manual test of all of the stuff, make sure that nothing breaks, and then we'll merge in. So we're going to go through the full flow of what our producer Randy would do whenever they're publishing an episode. So let me pull up my example episode and I'll show you how this whole thing works. Okay, here we go. So basically what you do is you say new project, and then you can drop a video onto it. And so these videos are the edited versions of the episodes that were exported from DaVinci Resolve, but they include chapter information, and we need to convert these into MP3s. Right now, it sounds like my computer is about to take off. I have noise cancellation, so you might not be able to hear it. But this latest build is really making my CPU churn. But that should be fine for now anyways. So what we can do is basically this video gets exported, and now we want to turn it into an MP3 and create the show notes. So if I grab this and I drop it here, whoa. Do we have a check now to see if the MP3 file already exists? Because I think that's what happened. So let's actually try that again, but I'm going to delete this MP3 file. It is not updating the progress anymore. Like, it basically gave us the path instantly, but it didn't show the progress. Yeah. Do I fix it, or do I tell Scott to fix it? I'm just going to keep note of the things that I see here. Was that because it happened so fast? No, I saw behind the scenes, it was still saying progress. Let me show you one more time. Like, if we just do a different episode, like 8:16. See, it shows finished, but behind the scenes, it's like 20, 26. It's not, for whatever reason, it's not reporting back. I don't know if maybe Tauri V2, if they changed how you do like async commands and updates. But just gonna make a list of issues, and then we'll either fix them or ask Scott to fix them. MP3 conversion progress is no longer reported. It immediately shows the file path, but the CLI still shows progress. Yeah, Scott is saying, interesting that you get the path right away. I'm not sure how the code is written, but yeah, it would seem that this thing returns the path when the function is done running. Like, we can see it on the Tauri side. If we look over here in source Tauri, here there should be a command for create a B3, which is this right here. It's an async command. It's got to do all of this work, and then finally, when it's done doing all of the work, it responds with the output path. So that, yeah, that is very weird that it's actually responding with the output path, even though it's still being created behind the scenes. Is it okay, here's the other thing to check. Is it possible that it is created immediately, but these progress updates are like way behind? Let's actually see. What I want to see is here in my file explorer, is that MP3 file, does it have the full size? Is it actually created immediately? Yeah, see, it's 0 bytes. We still have this here. It's still converting behind the scenes. Now it exists, and now it has actual MBs. So it's not finishing immediately. It's just not reporting the progress. That's super weird. Okay, that's one issue. Yeah, that's super weird. Because I mean, Scott just said WTF in the chat. I agree, because look, this function returns the output path. Is it possible it's some Rust thing where like we're not waiting for the command to complete? Because like technically the output file exists, it's just 0 bytes. We need to wait for the full thing to be completed. But that's what I thought this was doing. I don't know. We'll debug it later, but that is an issue. Okay, so that's one thing, is it converts it into an MP3 file. Next, it also needed to extract the metadata to create the show notes. Did it do that? It did. So here is where all of those notes are extracted to. That looks good. I'm going to open up the DevTools and make sure there's no like weird errors in the console. WebView internal toggle DevTools not allowed. Permission associated with this command. Maybe that's a new thing in Tauri v2, but we need to enable loading up the DevTools. That's very likely a permission inside of the Tauri settings. So if you look in Tauri, the Tauri config, there is a section where you can specify permissions. Oh, maybe it's not the Tauri config. I thought it was. Capabilities, default. This file lists all of the things that our app needs to do, like make network requests, open the window and stuff like that. And so I think we need to add a permission that says open up DevTools. And that's probably a change in something that got added to v2. Let me add that here. Likely need to add permission to Tauri JSON file. Cool. Yeah. Lima B says, I concur with everything and I have zero knowledge of coding. It reminds me of the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's like pretending to be a doctor and he's like, do you concur? And he's like, and then afterwards he's like, I should have concurred. Just concur. Just concur. I'm trying to learn without going to college. I understand logic gates fairly well due to engineering games, but here we go. Yeah, you can do it. I think programming is very logical. So yeah. I love that movie. It's Catch Me If You Can. It's based on a true story where Leonardo DiCaprio just pretends to be all kinds. He pretends to be a pilot. He pretends to be a doctor and all kinds of stuff. It's based on a true story. It's really fun. Yeah, Scott's gonna fix it. Okay. Cool. So that's another thing we came across. This is fine though. It's not nothing. It's not anything crazy. I guess I want to keep those DevTools open though, and then see if we get anything else. So if we, for instance, we'll add this other stuff. Got all our social links. Let's change the episode number to 99999. Test, do not merge. And then, yeah, let's just try publishing. So when I click this button, it creates a new branch on GitHub, commits these show notes as a file, and then creates a PR. Beautiful. this is probably an error that people that there's an error, but I think this is an error that Randy is potentially running into because he mentioned that creating the PR didn't work. So whenever we were doing this, we got a status of 422. It still created it. I wonder why. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, so this is not your fault, Scott. This is definitely not your fault. Oh no, I didn't know that, Scott. I know. I hate to tell you this, but the story was completely made up by the author. I believe it. So we're talking about Catch Me If You Can now. But they're saying the biggest scam is that he didn't actually do any of those things. And he just convinced people that he did do those things and then made a movie and a book about it. I mean, yeah. It's a good movie though. Yeah, and thanks for that follow, Lima B. Yeah. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's got you tagged here. But both of you have been behaving, so that's good. Yeah, that's fascinating to hear. I wonder if we look at the Wikipedia article, if it would tell us that. But yeah, Scott did not cause this. This very likely is related to a different issue. The thing is, it still created the PR, but like this one. Creating the branch, no PR. That didn't happen here. I'll have to look into that later, but it is interesting to see that we're getting an error here. But this creates the PR. It's got all the stuff. That seems perfectly fine. Okay. Is there anything else I need to test? Yeah, we can delete projects. Great. Seems fine. It looks good to me. So I'm gonna comment the things that are broken, and then we'll work on one of the other issues. So let's do that. And I'm just gonna close this dummy PR. Yeah. Cool. That is my review. I'd still blame Scott. Scott, do you have time to work on these two things, or are these things that I should work on? Because otherwise, I'm going to jump into one of the other issues. Like the other issues, I don't think are dependent on this stuff. I don't think it'll affect anything if I try and work on them. Because specifically, the one that I want to work on is the PR title getting truncated. So this just has to do with calling the GitHub API, and that shouldn't be affected by anything else. You can? Okay, cool. So I'll wait for Scott to work on that stuff, and in the meantime, we're gonna go work on another issue. But cool. All right, let's jump into it. So you might have saw this. This actually happened on the example PR that I just opened. So if we go to the syntax website repo, for whatever reason, the name is missing a space right there between test do not merge. So let's fix that. Good to know. Scott is mentioning there's a podcast that goes deep into the Catch Me If You Can saga, and is it real or not? Yeah. Oh, nice, Fob. You're writing Microsoft SQL and C#. Last I heard, you were doing like Laravel and PHP, so that's interesting. Yeah. Can I get rid of this? I guess not. It's kind of annoying to look at. Here we go. First issue, the random PR title truncation. So let me check out the main branch again. We'll sync up, reinstall dependencies to make sure that we get the right versions of all the stuff, and then start up Tauri. I don't know if Tauri is going to install other versions. It's not. Okay. Yeah, and Chris Paul is saying, as someone who codes pretty much exclusively on their own, seeing this PR process is quite fun. Yeah, glad to hear it. I did some code reviews of the stuff that Wes was working on yesterday. That one actually is public. If you go to the syntax website repo, yesterday, Wes made a PR that added the spooky story submissions page. So this is actually something I'm gonna point out really quick. If you're not aware, every year, Scott and Wes get user submitted spooky stories and talk about them during Halloween. So things like, were you ever at work and you accidentally deleted the production database, or you took down a website, or maybe you left some curse words in the console logs, or sent 1,000 test emails, or accidentally sent an inbound ballistic missile notification to the entire state of Hawaii. If you've ever done anything like that, we want to hear about it. So yesterday, Wes actually built this page where you can submit. So it tells you all the stuff you would need. You can listen to past years to hear those spooky stories, but then you can enter in your spooky story info. We get it, and then Scott and Wes are going to review them on some upcoming episodes. On an upcoming episode. I don't know if they do one or two. Yeah, I think they do 2 episodes back to back that talk about spooky stories. But this page was created by Wes yesterday, and we had a whole PR review process. So he opened the initial PR. Actually, this is a different one. This one. He opened this PR, and then he hit us up on Slack, and he was like, hey, CJ or Scott, can you review this? Then I went in, and I looked at the code, and I made comments on it. So I was like, hey, add this variable to the .env file. And then here I was like, hey, you should validate the email here. And then I was also like, we should use the parse data when inserting into the DB. And then I was like, hey, you should add some value. So basically, I reviewed. I was like, you should update these changes. And then Scott also made some notes focused on the CSS, though, which is also good, which is like, instead of hard-coded values, use these variables. There's some other variables, too. Honestly, this is my one complaint about CSS variables is like, I don't know which variables exist. I didn't write this code. Wes wrote this code, but it's very hard to know what variables exist and where you should use them. But Scott knows because he wrote all of those variables. So he added that in the code review as well. So yeah, and then Wes made the updates. The site's live now, and people are submitting their stuff. I guess that's the thing, is just go to vars.css. But I guess that's my main point, is I now have to either search through that document to see if the variable exists, and then I potentially miss it because I don't know what to search for. I don't know if I have a better solution. I think, like, I guess the thing about CSS and JS is there's like a static reference to the classes that you're using that apply specific styles. And then I don't think Tailwind would solve this issue because, I mean, it could, because you can have theming in Tailwind, and then you could use their built-in colors. And then if you know the Tailwind names, that would work. I don't know. This is just a complaint about CSS variables in large projects with CSS in general, not necessarily anything that you're doing, Scott. Because there's no, I don't know if it exists. There needs to exist some kind of like editor extension or way of statically linking to CSS, so that when I'm inside of my HTML or inside of a component, it knows every possible CSS class or CSS variable that I have access to, so I get nice autocomplete. That's probably my main complaint, because we don't get that. But yeah. I was just about to start working on this, but Scott says he's got another PR, so let's take a look. But this is also another scenario where I will, I'm going to learn about the CSS included in this app that I haven't learned about yet. Because, again, I think it's a very similar scenario when I'm working on this production assistant app. Scott created a lot of the base variables and the base reusable stuff, and I never learned about it. So every now and then I'm kind of either like implementing from scratch or like not knowing where to look for that stuff. So we got a nice new close button. That's awesome. Right now, I just did like basic built-in styles. That one looks great. A beautifully styled dialogue. I think like better. It's got look at that nice drop shadow. And there's no border color either. I like that. And we get a vertical spacing system, border radius. Sweet. Let me review this before I work on the next issue. We've got like an H5 class. Using the warning class here. Just adjusting where that button, that delete button is. Cool. I am curious though, why we would use pixel values for the gap here. I guess because we don't want that gap to change based on screen size. And I don't know if you're listening right now, Scott, while I'm looking at this, but buttons is a container that has multiple buttons inside of it. And instead of rims, we're doing hard-coded pixel values. But my guess is we want that gap always to be the same because you don't want the gap to get too big based on screen size. So that makes sense. And then we have some variables. VSL. Cool. You committed a YouTube debugging file? VS is vertical space. Okay. So Scott is saying this is a large vertical space and we can use that variable for margin top. Okay. Have you heard of, is it called, I forget what it is. There's like a CSS framework that gives you a bunch of variables that are similar to kind of the design system you get with Tailwind, but they're all CSS variables. Is it CSS skeleton? Open props. This is very interesting because it gives you all of these variables that you can use all over your code base, but it's kind of the same idea as like if you learn the Tailwind design system, like you know that MT1 means a specific thing. Same idea. They have probably like a margin -1 variable, and then you can like use that all over your code base. How do you feel about this, Scott? Well, how do you feel about using something like that in the code base? Yeah, open props. Scott wrote his own open props. I think the main issue is like it's not standardized, so I have to go in and learn what all of these are. But that makes sense because we have vertical spacing, border radius, font sizes, default color palette. Cool. Cool. Yeah. I wonder if any AI feature will connect the docs between HTML and CSS. I have not seen the Void editor, but I'm guessing something like that could help. Like basically having context of the various files. I wonder if anybody's even tried to work on that though, because it seems like a hard problem to solve. Because ultimately, you almost have to have the context of where this element is going to be rendered. Because when it's running in the browser, there are specific rules that happen that decide that certain CSS classes are going to be applied to that element. And those same rules need to be applying inside of your editor to give you the same kind of autocomplete. Yeah. Yeah. I like open props, but I tend to like more direct and tune variables as opposed to general purpose. That makes sense, right? Because radius does seem lower level, but I guess what you're saying is instead of having a general sizing, each one for like vertical spacing and padding, each one has its own. Whereas like in the open prop system, you might have vertical spacing -1 and padding -1, but we're specifically using sizes and then tying those back to specific pixels and margins. Yeah. Okay, so this file just has stuff to do with YouTube. The layout file is importing the styles. Fades in the UI. I see. You extracted this out into its own file. That makes sense. And then Scott dropped in all of his drop-in variables. Nice. We also have like a warning class. Cool. I have no complaints about all of this. Should I run it locally? Probably. Probably should run stuff before just merging it in. Oh yeah, I'll check out the focus visible. That's what Scott is saying. So when the button is focused, draw an outline. I guess I'm not familiar with focus visible selector. And then if it is not supported, just draw it on focus. Did you talk about focus visible in your talk? So Scott is saying it's a neat pseudo selector that only puts the outline ring with keyboard's focus instead of mouse focus. I like that. Yeah, that makes sense because if it's available in Firefox. Sweet. But yeah, like if you hover, I guess right now the keyboard has focused it, so that applies it. But how is that different than just focus? Oh, I guess like in this scenario, right now I'm clicking it and it's not technically focused. But if it has keyboard focused, it is. It's different. Yeah, okay. That's cool. This meant all elements, including links and buttons, had a ring applied when focused, which many found ugly. Sweet. So yeah, instead now you can specifically target when the keyboard is focused on it. Show it. That's awesome. This is another thing to know about when you're working with a lot of this CSS stuff is this at supports thing. So you can basically, it's almost like a fallback. So if the current browser does not support this feature, then the fallback is to just apply this to the focus class. Yeah. What's up, Mr. Extremely? Welcome in. Syntax is a web development podcast and video media company. Syntax.fm will tell you everything you need to know, but there's a podcast that's hosted by Wes Boss and Scott Talinsky. They release 3 episodes a week, and then I make videos for their YouTube channel. So if you check out their YouTube channel, all of the podcast episodes get uploaded here as well, but every now and then I'll do deep dives, tutorials, various stuff like that, and sometimes like dive deeper into the topics that are covered on the podcast. So that is what Syntax is. You should definitely check it out. Yeah. What happens if you don't support at supports? That was my question too. So what we're talking about here is, what if there's a browser that doesn't support at supports? I think it's okay. I think it technically would then be like a syntax error, but maybe it knows to ignore it. I'm very curious though. Where is at supports supported? It only has 92% support. It's not supported in IE 11 or in Opera Mobile. Yeah. Oh yeah, let me check this out. Notes on rem, because earlier I was talking about rems versus fixed pixels. So rem is the scale of the body font size. For accessibility, a browser could override the value to scale up the fonts and interface. So rem if you want to scale, pixels if you don't. And that makes sense because we don't necessarily want to scale the gap between the buttons, which is what which is where rems, I was using rems before. Cool. Let me check out this branch. Here we are. Ooh, look at that nice button. I think we can look at the fade in. It's hard to see the fade in if it just like instantly launches, but nice little button. Very cool. When you click it, this is the new styles. You can also see that we have focus. I like the glow, Scott. That's a cool. I like the outline there. That's awesome. Cool. What were some of the other things that changed? Yeah, we changed the button there. And then the overall layout. And then added these variables. Cool. Yeah. Behind the scenes changes. I think it's good. Just one step of a bigger reorganization. Cool. I approve. Here we go. Let me add my review. This is what everybody likes to meme about. Looks good to me. A lot of people will just comment looks good to me without actually reviewing it or running it. Yeah, this looks good. Another thing about PRs is I like to do a squash. So right now you can see on this branch, Scott actually has 2 commits. They've got the cleans up the main layout and then begins to implement this. I like to squash it so that way this PR will just show up as a single commit on the main branch. So I'll do a squash and merge. And we've got big news. The code is now open source. Yay! So yeah, you can check the link there and see all the stuff that we've been writing. Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, we just wanted to make sure we weren't leaking any secrets or anything like that, but now you can see all the codes, you can inspect it. I know some people that listened to the episode where Scott was talking about the app, they wanted to know how we were doing OAuth. Look at the code. Take a look at the code. Yeah. IE11 still exists. Yeah. I don't know as much anymore because I don't work in enterprise or interface with people in enterprise, but at larger companies, they move a lot slower. And a lot of times they stay on older versions that are still supported because they want to make sure that they're not using software that potentially has security vulnerabilities or whatever. I think we're probably at the point where any company using Microsoft products very likely has their users on edge at this point, because I think there was like end of life for IE11. Like it's actually not supported by Microsoft anymore. But that would be the scenario where people would still be using it, is if it's like a large corporation. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yuki. We like the software too. Unrelated question. When you were a student, if you were a student or when you were learning, how did you find internships? I want to get into creative coding and was wondering, where do I start looking for internships in that niche field? I don't know about that niche field. Usually you would search job boards, but it's probably, if it's something niche, then you're probably going to have to find those in some kind of community. So I know there's like creative coding communities here on Twitch. So just keep an eye out in any of the people that are streaming that kind of stuff. Also take a look at like X or Twitter. I don't know where else they hang out at. Maybe find some Discords, but also don't outright just say, I'm looking for internships. Make yourself visible, like be a contributing member of the community. So that when you do need to ask somebody about an internship or a job, it's not as awkward because they already know you and they already know that you're a nice person and help out and stuff like that. IE is also very popular in South Korea. The major banks require IE. So that's another reason. So Internet Explorer 11 has ActiveX. There's like this older stuff for like loading extensions into IE that aren't supported in Edge anymore. And some of these older companies need those, so they're stuck on older versions. But yeah, I thought that Microsoft dropped support for IE entirely. Yeah. How to know if I'm a nice person? Self-introspection. So basically find nice people out there, whether that's in person or at school or at work or in Twitch chat or on Twitch or on Twitter, and make a note of why you think those people are nice and then try to replicate it. I think that's the easiest way to go, is mimicry. Try to be nice like other people are nice. And then eventually you'll just be naturally nice, I guess. So they dropped all IE support, I would imagine. Okay. But yeah, we're open source. Check the link. And yeah, sweet. All right, now let me work on an issue. I'm going to check out the main branch again. Pull it in. Auto merge. Update the dependencies. Oh, I merged in a spelling error. I let Scott misspell a file. I guess it's fine. It's not that bad. Scott says, OMG. I didn't review close enough. The thing is, we potentially could have a linter rule that spell checks and also makes sure that it's like snake case. I don't know. I think for things like this, if I don't have a linter rule set up, I don't think I would bring it up in the code review, because these are inconsequential, right? The code's still going to work even if the thing is named wrong. If I really cared about it that much, I would have a linter rule that would catch it so that I don't have to review it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. Let's work on that issue that I was talking about earlier, which is the PR title is truncated. Just look at this example. Unless this has one. No, this doesn't have a PR yet. But here's what's happening. Whenever the pull request is made to GitHub, it removes the first space in the title. So let's find the code that makes that PR and then fix it, or see why it's happening. So I know that in project publish, this is where the GitHub publishing stuff is going to happen. Do I not have dependencies? What is going on here? Do I need to reload? Okay. Right here is where we create the PR. So get number and title from name. It then creates the PR with the number and the title. This has to be where it's going wrong, right? It's gotta be. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna log the name and the title, or the number here that we get back, and then just return. So I'm not actually gonna call the GitHub API. I wanna make sure that before we call the GitHub API, the title is what we want and expect it to be. So here we go. Let's go to the console, clear it all out, create the PR. Receipt printer with JavaScript. That's good. That's the right title. Yeah, and that's what I noticed too, Randy. So Randy is saying it's always right after the first word. The issue is right now, that title is completely fine. Let's look at my function here, create show PR. That could be doing something weird with the title. So let's go look at this. There's another regular expression that that replaces anything that is not an uppercase or lowercase letter or numbers with nothing. Also, it's not a global replace, so that's why it's only replacing the first thing. Here's what we need to do. We need to make this a global regular expression, and we also need to allow spaces like that. That's the issue. And I'm actually just going to test this regular expression right here. And we should be good. That was my fault. I wrote that regular expression. It's a bad regular expression. Yeah, perfect. But you'll notice if I don't put the space on there, and actually, if I don't put the space on there, it's going to, with global, it would replace all of them. But let's check this out. If I remove that space, now that removed the very first space because that didn't match this regular expression. If I would have made this global, it would have removed all of the spaces. And we also don't want that. So like if I do this, yeah, it gets rid of all the spaces. So what I want is allow spaces, allow letters and numbers, but anything else is going to get stripped out. So if like there's a pound or slashes or whatever else, those are just going to get completely removed. Yeah. I thought the same thing, James Warner. So James is asking, when would be the use for /s instead of space? So /s is how you escape white space inside of regular expressions. This accounts for any amount of white space. So basically, if there were multiple spaces, it would keep all of them, or like tabs or new lines. I don't know. In this scenario, I know that I'm specifically looking for a space, which is why I'm just going to do a space right here. Because I could imagine there's some scenario where maybe we have multiple spaces, or I don't know. My gut tells me I should just look for a space. Instead of, I mean, it should work with /s as well. Let's try it with /s. Yeah. But the other thing is, and so this is what I was meaning, is like if we have a bunch of exclamation marks or anything that is not letters, numbers, or spaces, those are all going to get removed. Actually, is this already happening? I think this already take care of that. So any amount of white space followed by a dash, followed by any amount of white space, followed by the actual title. No, so this doesn't remove special characters, but I'm curious, this up here is supposed to display, oh, the window isn't big enough. It truncates it? Now I'm really curious. What are we using to display the name up top? Because it's doing some special removing of like special characters too. Let's find that. I think this is just going to be on the main project page. And this is the drop area. So maybe it's in the layout. It is in the layout because it appears on every page. This layout. Project.name. Does it happen when the name is being saved? Oh. Adding all these special characters did something weird to I think to the update. I guess I shouldn't worry about it. I thought there was just some extra logic that I should worry about up here, but there's not. But now, with all of this, there can be special characters, but when we go to publish, you'll notice that it removes all the special characters, and then it just has the text itself. That's mainly what we're trying to do there. Okay, this should be all we need to change. Yeah, we really just need to change that. So I'm going to discard the changes there, and really it just happens before the PR is made. So in our lib, GitHub, utils, API, right here, before we call the API, we make sure that the title doesn't have any special characters in it. Good to go. This is all that needs to happen. Done. Let's call this fix title truncate. And this fixes issue number 35. Cool. Now I'll make a PR. This has all of my like random commits here. I think I need to fix my main branch. Is this where rebasing would come into play? The main thing is I'll just make sure that I squash this commit. Worst case scenario, the MP3 progress is working correctly randomly. I still don't understand how it can report back the path if the function hasn't completed running. I guess it has something to do with like not blocking and not waiting to return the value. I don't know if that's an issue on the Rust side or an issue on the Tauri command side. But yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, regex is sometimes scary. That would actually just remove those things. Yeah, I would remove that entirely from that. But the main thing is I don't want special characters in the pull request title. This is the only spot it's going to appear. This isn't going to change how it appears anywhere else. But when it creates a pull request on GitHub, I don't want this to have special characters in it. That's the main reason. Yep. Yeah, I know. I have a very minimal VS Code setup, and I do not use Vim. Is Rust then Tauri worth learning for fun? I think anything is worth learning for fun. It all depends on like what you're trying to do, right? Because yeah, if you're just trying to learn and you want to do interesting stuff, sure. If you're trying to get a job, maybe you pick something that companies are using or that might be more popular. I don't know. Your workflow is fast. I've been doing this a very long time. That's probably why it's fast. All right. Wait. My local main branch has some weird commits that I don't want anymore. Is this where a rebase I'll be honest, I don't really know what a get rebase is. I don't really ever do it. Is this a scenario where I need to rebase? Yeah, like divergent history. Get rebase main. Your current branch main is up to date. I want to rebase with my remote. Okay. You can take the changes on the client that aren't. No, that's not what I want. I mean, the way that I would do this is I would actually check out some other branch. Temporary. Okay. Then I would actually delete the main branch. Get branch, I think -D. Main. Yeah, delete the main branch. And then if I do a get fetch, that's going to pull the main branch from the remote. And then if I check out main, now I shouldn't have any weird commits that get added on to these branches that I'm creating. I know this would have fixed it. Mrock in the chat is saying get reset -- hard origin main. That probably would have been the way to go. But what I did was just delete the branch, repull it. That's fine. Hey, Jeron Van Vissen, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. I was going to say we were working on this Tauri app, but we completed this PR. I'm going to go ahead and merge this in because it literally is just one regular expression change. And I want to make sure that I do this squash because like these are like all extra commits that don't need to appear on the main branch. They just get merged into a single one. Like that. Cool. Yeah. One viewer raid. Yeah. No worries. I appreciate the raid. Yeah. Thanks for coming over. Okay. That got merged in. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Mihai Andre says, get branch -D main. Like, technically, I deleted the main branch, but it was all locally, right? The main branch still exists on GitHub, so it's okay to delete the main branch. But that could be a potentially spooky story if you deleted the wrong thing. And what's up? It's Tom for sure who says, I see CJ, I like. What's up? Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Now the new main is pulled down. You can also rebase your local feature branches onto the new main branch because they will still be based on the old main branch. That's basically what I was asking about. Because if you look, I mean, it doesn't matter at this point because all my feature branches have been merged in. But if I had created a feature branch that was based on the old main, that's where rebasing would have been useful because I want the history to be the exact same as the main branch and not have all these like weird intermediary commits. I think that's the main reason for rebasing. Okay, is there anything else that I can work on here? This one. Randy, have you, I don't know if you're listening. If you're listening, I'm going to say this out loud. If not, I'm going to send you a message on Slack. But have you run into this again where you're here? Sweet. Thank you, Randy. So you have this issue that says the PR is getting held up. 2 of the 3 episodes are published without an issue, but the third one seems to be having trouble creating the PR. Oh, yeah. Randy using light mode. He's not a developer. It's okay. I mean, I guess I don't know if dark mode is a developer thing. Obviously not. I think it's also an accessibility thing. But yeah, Randy likes light mode, and that's okay. So it creates the PR, but is it that the progress bar just keeps moving? You're on dark mode forever, but you're trying something new, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Creates the branch, doesn't PR. Has this happened since then? Because my example one earlier did get created. But has this happened since you reported it? I did notice there were some 422 errors in the log, so I'm going to look into those. But it's hard to say what's happening because it works for me. Hasn't happened again. Okay. I'm going to fix those 422 errors, and then we'll probably close this issue unless it happens again. So let's check out a branch. PR fail. Notes PR fail. Because I did notice earlier that one of these API requests is actually getting a 422 error. Let's see what that is. Yeah. Yeah, what's up, BMind? Good to see you. I saw you tuned into the Denver script live stream. Yeah. If I remember correctly, you fetch the remote you want, then get rebase. Okay. I think that my issue was I had extra commits on my local main branch. Getting into outdoors a lot lately? Or the snow buries us? Yeah. Yeah, I probably need to do the same. It's going to get cold here pretty soon. Okay. Let's just do an example one. And then we'll watch the network traffic. So we drop this in. Well, look at this, Scott. Well, never mind. I was about to say I'm not on your changes, but the progress bar is working. But I think that's because I'm not on the changes. Never mind. Scratch that. Okay, we've got the notes. Let's update this to test do not merge. And then we'll open up the network tab. Clear everything out. Yeah, and Scott is saying, annoyed by this progress bar. It works half the time. I can't even imagine why it wouldn't work. Like, based on the codes? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to click this button. It's going to create a branch on GitHub, commit the file, make a PR. Let's see what happens. Would you look at that? Now it just fails. The string contains invalid characters. Where is this happening at? Page.svelte, line 32. Which page.svelte? Oof. Page.svelte, obviously. What's up, America 2050? Good to see you. Yeah, obviously it's page.svelte. Could be a Tauri bug. Yeah, I think so. I think it has something to do with an async Tauri command that is not waiting to completion. It's resolving before the async command is done. That's potentially a Tauri issue. Let's call it that for now. I don't know if there's anything else we can do within that Rust method to the other thing I can think of is instead of returning the file path from the function like this, so this returns it. Instead of that, we could emit, instead of emitting progress, we could emit that it is completed and just listen for the completion event to be sure. Like right here, emit complete. Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I just think in order for the UI to handle both situations, where like if finished has not been emitted, then don't show the file path. I don't know. But let me try to fix this issue. So I think I know which page.svelte it's talking about. I think it's the publish page here. Or so I thought. This one, publish page here. Invalid characters. The string contains invalid characters. Line 32. What? This is the weirdest error. Okay, we're not using episode number anymore. I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, I can get rid of that. Invalid character. The string contains invalid characters. That's a promise. These Safari dev tools are not amazing. All right, I'm going to hide my screen for a second. I don't know if this is going to reveal my GitHub tokens, so give me 1 second. That was a 200 response. That was a 201 response. Okay, so the GitHub API calls didn't actually fail. Just where the heck is this error coming from? Okay, see, that gives us a 422 error. Oh, you know what happens? I think if the branch already exists, it throws an error because the branch got created, and then when we click this button, it's trying to recreate it. That's some logic I can fix. I can fix that because I can first check, does the branch already exist? And if it does, then we want to commit to it. I'm going to hide my screen just to look at the network error. But I think that's why that gave us a 422 is that branch already exists. Yeah, branch already exists. Yeah, check it out. There's your problem. A branch with that name already exists. Honestly, if that's the case, we probably want to create a different branch because I mean there usually shouldn't be any overlap because the episode number and the episode name is always going to be different. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do, Scott, is just quit the process entirely and then show an error that says, hey, the branch already exists, change the name and title. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to where we're creating the branch. Create branch. And if response.ok, do it. Otherwise, we're going to throw an error. Failed to create branch. Does it already exist? Yeah. What's up, Yash? I am. Check this out. I can move my entire desk down or back up. I am using a standing desk. Yeah. It's kind of funny to see someone else troubleshooting a weird bug where nothing makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at today. We have all these weird bugs. All right, does this make sense to throw the error here? I guess also, though, if it already exists, then we can just add to that branch. Let's just say try changing. Actually, what is the branch name that we try to create? Here. I'm not going to do this just yet. What I want to see is what name are we actually passing in here? The branch name is episode number show notes. This is the issue, is if there's already a branch that has been created for that episode, it's going to fail. I have to defer to like, I guess, Scott and Randy here. So if the branch already exists, that means there was a PR already for this episode. Does that mean we want to update the commit or add a new commit to the episode? Or do we just say, you know, you're trying to create something that already exists? Because it has to do with the branch number here. Yeah. I think it makes sense just to fail. All right, we will fail. My other thought was we can always include like a timestamp here, and that way it's always unique. But I guess it would make sense to not, to just fail here if that's the case. Okay. Let's go back over to our function. We're going to fail if the response is not okay. So if response okay, do this. Otherwise, we throw an error. Failed to create branch. A branch with that name already exists. Make sure this episode number is unique. Okay. Yeah, right. Randy says, if I'm trying to publish the same episode again, I just need more coffee. Okay, yeah, so we'll throw the error here. And then the place where we call create branch is down here. And really, create show PR, we're going to wrap that in a try catch. And then show the error if there was one. So this we will try catch. I'm going to throw all of this codes. So try to create the show PR. If it was successful, save it, save the URL to the project. If it was not successful, we need to show an error in the UI. So let's give a spot for that. If there's not a project URL, I think I'll just show the error right here. It's right here. So we'll add an error variable. If it exists, we'll show it. Just a little p tag. Throw the error in. Give it a class of, I think we have an error class in our CSS. And then error is just going to be a string. Yeah. Starts off as nothing. And then if there was an error, call this E, and we'll set error to be E as an error dot message. Like that. And then if you click the button again, we will set error to nothing. Okay. The MP3 thing might be due to a failed process cleanup. So it'll work the first time after completion, but not subsequent. Oh, like the FFmpeg process isn't being cleaned up? All right. So now if I click this, it should fail because the branch already exists and we should see an error down below. Yeah, failed to create branch. A branch with that name already exists. Make sure this episode number is unique. Cool. That's good. that's good. And so if we go back and we change this to be a number that doesn't exist, now we can try it. Now we need to handle this. String contains invalid characters. What the heck does that even mean? Because it would be in this function, right? Let's log the file name. We'll say committed notes. Yeah. This is why we need sentry.io / oh, yeah. Why we need Sentry, yeah. One of the main issues is, yeah, and well, it's worth mentioning. Syntax is brought to you by Sentry. They're an error monitoring platform. I literally mentioned it, I think, in this issue. I was like, we need Sentry in this app. I think the main issue is we're using Svelte v5 and we're using Tauri v2. And because of that, the only option for an SDK is not official. It's something that someone else wrote. And last I looked, there's some issues on it. Like, it's not very performant. So that's the main issue. It's like, why it's hard to bring in. A nice one for next stream. Yeah. The main issue is I don't want to go down the path of adding in someone else's SDK that they implemented and then like it doesn't work or it slows down the app or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. V2 still going smooth for you? No. There's some issues. Yeah. All right. See you later, Randy. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for your input. Hopefully we can get these changes over to you pretty soon. Okay. Yeah, where on earth is that error actually happening? Let's find it. Yeah. Here's the other thing. I don't know how often this is going to happen, but like it already created the branch, so it can't create it again. I guess technically I should probably go over here and delete these recently created branches like this one and this one. So now it shouldn't fail. Okay. So we get file name. We get to here. And then whenever we go to commit the show notes, it says, oh, wait, no. The string contains invalid characters. So if we look at commit show notes, this grabs our token. Passing in the notes. Is this B to A that's causing this issue? I'm going to do some little debugging here. I'm going to say window.notes equals notes. Go back, delete this branch. Refresh the page, click the button. Okay. That's the issue. My base 64 encoding cannot handle this variable. Do I need to escape it before base 64 encoding it? Let's see. According to the MDN docs, you might need to escape, then decode to handle Unicode. Unescape encode URI component. Is that what we need? A to B breaks due to new lines in the response. Remove them to get your code to work. I needed to have new lines though. Like, it wouldn't make sense to encode this without new lines. Also, I can fix the formatting here though. Yeah, the front matter needs to go all the way over there. That needs to go all the way over there. That needs to go all the way over there. That. Need to go remove this branch again. Reload. Take a look at notes. This looks better now. The spacing is right. But I need to encode it with new lines. The solution is to actually encode to and from a binary string representation. Create a uint16 array, grab every single thing, and then B to A it. Okay. See the Unicode problem in the base 64 glossary entry. Bytes to base 64. Where did that go? Was I looking at a different Stack Overflow answer? I was. The simplest solution is to use a text encoder and text decoder. So do this. Bytes to base 64. This is what we need. We're going to handle this over here. It's going to give us each individual string. Oh no, that's going to give us a number. What does encode return? uint8 array. Okay. And then now, here we're going to say notes is equal to this. Well, actually, we can just throw this in directly. Right here, instead of calling B to A. We say encode the text, get the binary string, convert it to base 64. All right, here's hoping. I'm going to add a note on this function of where it came from. See here. What was this? The Unicode problem. Okay. Now let's delete that branch and then it'll work. Create the PR. Huh? Eh? All right, now, did it encode it in the right way? Because if we look at the PR, we could just see a bunch of junk as the markdown file. Here we go. Perfect. It didn't do anything weird. Nice. That should fix the issue. Okay. I'm calling it there. Cool. Let's just double check what changed, and then I'll make a PR. Yeah, we handle the failure, and then we make sure that we encode it in the right way. Sweet. And so this ideally should fix number 37. Chris says the missing space from earlier is back. Oh, because this branch doesn't have that fix on it. That's why. If I do a pull from main, yeah, this branch was missing that commit. That's the main reason. Should be fine though. So these are the only things that changed. Yeah. All right. That looks good. And at this point, did you make any updates here, Scott? Not seeing the web view errors. Might be a version thing. Okay. That works for me. Let me just check it out. Do an npm I to get the latest, and then a cargo update. I want to be on the main branch. Oh no, I guess I did want to be on the update dependencies branch. The thing is, when I run a cargo update, that actually changes the file. Yeah, it updates the cargo lock. Let's see what it changes. It's updating this package. That's literally the only thing it's doing. I don't want that. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And thanks for the follow, Derp Sauce. Good to see you. Okay, no errors in the console. Yeah. Whoa, this one was instant though. It was like boom, MP3 created successfully. Does it check to see if it exists in the directory? Let's delete it. Yeah. And then it's not showing the progress. What did we say the issue with the progress was? Yeah, that's what my thought was too. They literally just updated that package. Log into file is the problem. I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is we're going to merge your changes in and think about this later. Is there anything else that you wanted to do on this branch? I think we're good to just merge, and we can handle that in a separate issue. I'm doing it. I'm not going to do it. But I think I am going to merge in the PR, the GitHub PR fix, because that one was pretty simple. Just throw an error if the branch already exists, and then use this new base64 encoding. Well, welcome back, Avi. Good to see you. I'm going to merge this one in. Yeah, last check, Scott. Are we good to merge? Yeah. Scott says no. Okay, don't merge. All right, I won't do it. I do have to end the stream though, so we'll have to take a look at this next time, or it might even be merged in the next time that we work on this. So yeah. Yeah, thank you to Lore the Simmer. Thank you very much for that follow over on Twitch. Cool. 1 sec. I think we'll handle it off stream because I do have to go. Got more stuff to work on. But this has been super fun. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And the next live stream, I don't think we're gonna have one next week, but potentially the week after that. But I'll keep you all updated. Follow us over on X if you have not yet. And also all the other places on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. And if you're watching on YouTube, we're actually going to do a raid over on the Twitch side. So if you head over to twitch.tv/syntaxfm, you can join us in the raid. Essentially, we're going to take all of our viewers from this stream and then send them over to some other stream. We'll find somebody who's doing something fun and send everybody over. But this has been super fun. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We got some work done. We got some PRs closed. Making progress. Yeah, I'll see you next time. And yeah, another way is just send your carrier pigeon and you can get all the syntax updates. All right. That's all I got for you. We'll see you on the next episode of Syntax Bytes. Until then, stay well and join us in this raid here on Twitch. All right, we'll see you.